Welcome to the MetPro Method Podcast. I am your host, Crystal OKeefe. Today, I am joined by MetPro coach Kassy Dietle, and we will be discussing eating vegan on MetPro. Kassy, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, I want to dig in by just kind of getting an overview. I hear a lot of terms thrown around: vegetarian, vegan, pescatarian, all kinds of things. What are the differences between vegan and vegetarian?
Yeah, good question. So really it boils down to vegetarian will still consume the byproducts of animals, so eggs, dairy, honey, whereas vegans will not. So they don't do anything that comes from an animal. They don't eat animals or fish themselves. They're solely plant-based.
Okay. And being solely plant-based, I would think that that is more restrictive and therefore more difficult to eat like if you're trying to change your eating habits, it might be even more difficult to do. So, I guess the first question is, can a client be successful on MetPro if they're vegan?
Yes, 100% they can. I will preface it with a couple things though. First is you have to be open-minded. Let's say you're a vegan client on MetPro, really get to know your coach, trust your coach, be open about the things that you want to use, and know that there's going to be a learning curve to try to figure out how to get all your macros to fit together, and know that you have to be creative with the foods that you're going to combine to specifically hit your protein. And the last thing is know that this is more of like a clean eating. So that'll probably be the biggest obstacle I see with my vegan clients is if you're used to using a lot of processed vegan foods, we're going to switch those over. And there's going to be that little learning curve we have to get through.
So you have a non-vegan client and you have a vegan client. How is that different? How is MetPro different for those two different types of clients?
Good question. So I would say the main thing is in the phases that we use. So with my vegan clients, they're going to automatically be on higher carb, higher fat phases than my non-vegan clients because it's harder to hit your protein as a vegan unless you're combining foods. And those plant proteins always come packaged with carbs and fat. You can't, for the most part, get pure plant proteins unless you're using like a protein powder that's been made that way. So that's the biggest difference is my vegan clients aren't going to go as low on phases as my non-vegan because we've got to keep the carbs, we've got to keep the fat in there so that they can hit all of their macros.
Okay. And so where do you see what do you see as being the biggest struggle for people who are vegans then? I know you said getting used to it, learning that you're going to have to be open-minded, but once they're in the program, they've accepted the food, where's the biggest struggle?
I would say the biggest struggle would be twofold. One, I see struggles on the lower phases because it can get kind of monotonous with the foods that you're using because
Sure.
you're limited on options. So you're eating a lot of beans and legumes. You're eating a lot of my vegan clients have a lot of tofu that they're using. It can get a little boring. And that's where you really got to get creative with how you're seasoning foods to not get stuck in a rut. And then on the flip side of my vegan clients, because I can't take them so low in their carbs, we've got to build them higher on their phases, build up their carbs, build up their calories. And that can be kind of hard for some of my vegan clients. And so that's why we've got to use that exercise lever to be able to build more contrast and get them eating more calories because I can't take away as many carbs when I have you on the lower phase.
And for those people who aren't familiar with MetPro, it's the reason it can be difficult, right, at the top of those higher levels is because you're eating so much food, and sometimes your body just is like, no more. Is that the only reason, or are there other things?
I would say that's the main thing is you're eating so much food, and that's where the kind of like clean bulking comes in is MetPro's very clean. We use a lot of vegetables, we use whole foods, they're high fiber. You feel a lot more full than if you're using, let's say for my vegan clients, you're using Impossible Burger or Beyond Meat, or you're using those vegan processed products that are calorie dense but don't feel as filling.
Hmm.
Our MetPro feels way more filling because of how clean and whole food it is.
Okay. That's a great explanation. And I feel like maybe now would be a good time just to give people who maybe are brand new to the idea of MetPro a little background on what MetPro is. MetPro is a coaching company that helps individuals with highly specific goals such as weight loss or performance. MetPro has an app, MetPro Basic, and it pushes the boundaries of nutritional innovation by utilizing a unique algorithm that predicts how your body will likely respond and gets smarter as you use it. So MetPro's not about gimmicks, fluff, or oversimplified macro tracking. As Kassy is explaining, it is not a simple food logging app. You have to be willing to shop and prepare for the meal plans it provides. And you can expect highly individualized adjustments every few days as it learns how you're responding. You're going to get a detailed analysis of how your metabolism is responding, an individualized adjustment to your meal plan, and and the algorithm explanation of why it's making the expectation and what to do next. MetPro even provides optional workouts for all fitness levels. So if you're looking for a simple food logging app or you're not willing to shop or prepare for the meal plans provided, MetPro may not be for you. But if you're ready to invest in yourself and you want the most complete solution to mastering your metabolism, go to metpro.co/basic and you can try it free for 14 days. So, Kassy, I'm curious, having said all that, where is the best place for vegan clients to get their protein? Is it just tofu? Are there other options?
Good question. There are a ton of options, and that's why I always have my vegans get really familiar with the foods in the app. So, main proteins are going to be your beans and legumes, your nuts and your seeds, and your nut butters like almond butter and peanut butter, and even your seed butters like tahini. And then we have a lot of vegan protein sources that are similar to meat or used like they would if someone was eating meat. So that would be your tofu, your tempeh, which is another form of fermented soy, and then seitan, which is made from wheat gluten.
Oh,
And that's a high vegan protein source as well. And then we also have bean and legume pastas like edamame pasta and lentil pasta. So, oh, and another one is we have nutritional yeast, which is also high in B vitamins and it has a really cheesy flavor. So you can add it to pastas to make it, I don't want to say like mac and cheese, but like cheesy pasta. And that also comes with a lot of protein as well. Specifically, if you were to put it in the app and use like nutritional yeast, you would get a quarter cup for one protein on the app, which for vegans, I mean, that's a great way to get your protein. So there's a lot of options that I think people don't really realize. And that's why I feel like MetPro can be really suitable for a vegan as long as you work with your coach and you get really familiar with the app and building out the meals, because we have a ton of options to hit your protein as a vegan.
and you mentioned, well, actually, first I have a question about this nutritional yeast. I've seen that before, but I didn't understand it. I thought that was for baking bread. So no, you I'm clearly
I
not a
will say
vegan.
I didn't know about it until because I was vegan. I was vegan for 3 years, and that's where I learned about nutritional yeast. And the term can be off-putting. You're like, oh, yeast. I don't know if I want to just like eat a quarter cup of that. But it
Right.
has this really cheesy flavor. You can usually find it in the bulk bins at the grocery stores or in kind of the baking area of the stores. And it has one, it's really high in B vitamins, and it has this cheesy flavor. So you buy it, you measure out your serving size, and I say add it on top of salads, add it into pastas, add it into rice to make kind of like a risotto in a sense. You can
Hmm.
add a little almond milk to kind of make it a little bit more soupy if you want. And you can even use it like for your tofu. You can bread your tofu with it to make like cheesy tofu.
Huh. Well, that sounds great. So, I mean, people who aren't vegan but are looking for protein ideas could also borrow that idea.
100%. And you can, same idea with the nutritional yeast, you could use it for breadings on your chicken if you wanted. You could do like chicken tenders and
Ooh.
use the nutritional yeast on it to boost
What?
the protein.
Oh
Mhm.
my gosh. Okay, blowing my mind here. I'm super excited about this. Now, what about you mentioned like seeds, and I'm picturing like hemp seeds and chia seeds, and I've used those before in like salads. Is that something you can like track in the MetPro app?
Absolutely. You can track all nuts and seeds. We have a really good variety. The thing with your nuts and seeds is they're going to come packaged. So you're going to get fat and protein with them. You'll fill up 2 of your boxes in the MetPro app using, let's say, a hemp seed. And seeds are great. I love to use like pumpkin seeds for snacks. Tip there, pumpkin seeds you want roasted and salted. You can get them roasted without an oil. You can get dry roasted, but they're way tastier. Don't go for the raw pumpkin seeds. Toasted, roasted, salted, all the way. And then another thing is tahini. That is one of my favorite things for vegans as well. You'll get fat with it, but you also get protein, and it's great drizzled over sweet potatoes. So
Ooh.
tahini is ground up. Oh my gosh, sesame seeds. I blanked on the name. So it's ground up sesame seeds, and you can drizzle it over sweet potato. So good.
Really?
Yeah.
What? So is that like a buttery? Like, is it the taste buttery? Is that I'm trying to picture what taste would taste good on top of a sweet potato. So
It has like I guess buttery is a good term, buttery, savory type of flavor. It's not sweet. So, and it's very different from almond butter, but it is really delicious, and it gives a little bit more savory, salty kick to the sweet potato.
ooh, okay. All right. Well, this is you're actually it's about lunchtime and I'm getting very hungry. So this is good.
Me too.
Now so now if a person is vegan and they're coming to MetPro, I know that a lot of people who are vegan have concerns about their meals being balanced. So does MetPro help them keep like a balanced nutrition?
Yes. And I would say, depending on how you ate prior to the program, I would say we almost balance it even more, because every meal and snack comes packaged with carb, protein, and fat. And then if it's lunch and dinner, you're going to get veggie carbs as well. And that's really important as a vegan, because specifically with protein, you have to combine different plant proteins to get your full amino acids to make it a complete protein. And so MetPro, what we do really well is each meal in your app is balanced with this amount of meal carbs, this amount of protein, this amount of fat. And all you have to do is go into the meal builder and select the foods that you like. And the app does everything for you. It fills up your boxes to make sure that you're getting every single macronutrient that you need. And then also with MetPro being way more veggie forward, we're getting a lot of micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals in there for the vegan clients as well. So you're getting a really good balanced plate with MetPro, and you don't even have to think about it. You've got your coach to look over you. You've got the app to adjust you. We've got it all done. You just got to go in there and build it out.
Okay, that sounds great. And what about like I know that there are like a billion products out there that have they say that they're for vegans. They say, oh, this is good. You mentioned Beyond Burgers being an example that comes to mind. But I know that's not necessarily something that you can have on MetPro because like you said, you're not getting all the other things that you need. So are there certain products that clients kind of need to focus on?
I would say the only product that I would recommend clients investing in outside of just plain whole foods is a good protein powder. I think finding a vegan protein powder can be a little challenging. There's a lot out there, and it's tricky because, and this is where you want to work with your coach too, if you are doing the concierge service, is some plant protein powders are higher in carb, which is different from my non-vegan clients who use protein powder that's more so just straight protein. So with vegan protein powder, you really want to look for a pea protein and rice protein blend. It's going to be the best with amino acid composition, similar to like whey protein. So if your goal is muscle building, it would be great for that. And I would say that's really the only product as a vegan you need to invest in would be a good quality plant protein to fill in those little protein gaps if you're not hitting it with your other foods. Aside from that, it's all whole food. You could do it all with that, no extra products needed.
Okay, wonderful. And so I guess is there anything else that you want to make sure people know about being vegan on MetPro?
I would say get familiar with the app. That's my biggest tip. I think a lot of vegan clients get intimidated because they think maybe they can't check all of the boxes being a vegan, or maybe that means they're going to be super restricted in food. And that's not true at all. If you just spend time with the app, building out different combos of foods, that's really my biggest tip for vegans. But don't let it hold you back from trying it out, because you 100% can be successful and your meals will be balanced, maybe even more so than when you were doing it on your own.
Wonderful. That is very encouraging. So I really appreciate you taking the time to talk through this today, Kassy. Can you give people your email address to reach you if they have questions?
Yeah. So my email address is Kassy@metpro.co, and Kassy is spelled Kassy.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kassy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thanks, Crystal.
Listeners, that is all for this week. You can find all of the MetPro Method episodes anywhere you get podcasts, or you can get them at metpro.co/podcast. Please be sure to follow the show and rate and review. That lets other people know what they can expect from the show. And you can also learn more about MetPro at metpro.co. I am your host, Crystal OKeefe, and I'll be back next week. Until then, remember, consistency is key.